everyone, and welcome to Transfiguration 103. We're on week 5, finishing up our glove, and we're going to have a thumb. Alright, so let's look at the pattern here. You're going to move the thumb stitches from the waste yarn onto needles, and you're going to rejoin the yarn, picking up 2 stitches across the body of the mitt. So you're going to have 11 stitches total on your needles. Then you're going to knit 5 rounds and bind off loosely, or use the sewn bind off. I'm going to use the sewn bind off like I did the other day, where I showed 2 different bind offs. Alright, so let's get started. So I have my glove here on my waste yarn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just look for my stitches and pick them up. You kind of want to pick them up before you take the waste yarn off, so that you make sure that you pick them all up. Now, I'm going to be doing magic loop here, but if you're doing double point needles, you're going to want to use 3. So what I would do is I would split this up into, let's see, 4 on one needle, 4 on a second needle, this one plus the 2 stitches on the third needle. Alright, so I got all my stitches on my needle, so I'm going to just undo this knot. And remove it. I'm gonna need that later. Alright. Now for thumb gussets, it's always confusing whether you should start knitting or not, or, you know, that sort of thing. So move thumb stitches to waste yarn, or from waste yarn onto needles, and rejoin yarn. So what this makes me think is that you start with 1. So for rejoining the yarn, alright, you're going to just knit 1. I just make a loop of, you know, I have a length of yarn, and I make a loop, and I take this loop and I put it over. Alright, for the second one, I'm going to knit with both of these. It just helps, kind of weave it in. So I'm going to do 3 stitches with the tail yarn, and I'm going to remove the tail yarn. Right. And finish going across the rest of these stitches. Alright, now it says pick up 2 stitches between these 2. Okay, so how do you figure out what stitches to pick up? It's not easy in any way, shape, or form. When I normally pick up stitches, I normally do it so that there's 2 involved. So like I'd pick up an entire stitch. Do you see? Let me grab that there. Oops. So do you see how there's 2 stitches on there? It's from an actual knit stitch itself. Alright, so I grab 2 stitches because they're not going to stretch. Oh, my yarn's getting tangled in my needle. Alright, so I'm going to pick up the stitch there. And I'm also going to do the same on the other side. So I'm basically like picking up an entire yarn, or an entire stitch itself, and just knitting. So why did I pick those? They don't stretch as much so it'll keep it tighter. And for me, it's all trial and error on how to choose which stitches you're knitting, that sort of thing. You can go back and forth. You can try it. Sometimes they don't look as pretty. Sometimes they do. So after you pick up those 2 stitches, you're going to just knit 5 rounds even. Nice and easy. No knit 2, purl 2 anymore or any of that. After doing that, you're going to use one of the bind offs that I taught you for the finger part, because you want it to be a little stretchy for your thumb. So for this one, I'm going to do the Russian bind off again. Because I did it over here, so kind of making the glove cohesive. Or you can, you know, if you use the sewn bind off, you can use that. You know, I like using one bind off at a time. So you could pause the video and knit your 5 rounds. And I'm just going around here and just knitting. After knitting your 5 rounds, you're going to do a bind off. So I'm going to show the Russian bind off again at the end of this video. Alright, I've knit my 5 rows, so my thumb's almost done. So now we're going to do that Russian bind off again. So you're going to knit 2. Slide those back over, and then knit these 2 together. Knit 1, slide them back over, knit 2 together. Knit 1, slide those 2 back over, knit 2 together. Knit 1, slide them over, knit 2 together. Alright, knit 1, slide them over, knit 2 together, knit 1, slide over, knit 2 together. Alright, and then last one, we're going to just knit it. And I don't have my scissors here. I will be right back. Alright, are you ready for this to be almost done? So you're going to just cut the yarn, slide that off. You're going to take your darning, tapestry needle, whatever it is. Thread your yarn. And then I always go through that first stitch. So you see how there's this huge gap here, and this is like the stitch that started it all. I always go through there to kind of close it up. and go back through. And this I just go in those purl stitches. Cut that off. If there's any other ends to weave in, I think I already did that. Nope, I have the bottom one that I need to weave in. The top one I already weaved in. But, yeah, so go weave in that bottom one. And you have a left fingerless glove. Congratulations! Now you get to do the other one.